You know how when you meet someone and you just click and there's this synergy, this energy where everything they say, you have something to share about it, or it's something that you almost would have said right after it came out of their mouth. And you're just so excited. You're so excited to be in that room with that person because this person and I click. Well, that's how I felt about Kate Eckman, who came on the podcast, and we just had a blast talking and sharing about what it means to be here in the end of 2021 as we need to kind of rejigger things because it's just really challenging right now. We heard about her full spirit workout. We talked about courage. We talked and shared about what it means to really be present and how we all need this, how we need to up level our game, whether you consider yourself a spiritual person or not. It really doesn't matter. I hope you enjoy this next episode of the Pausecast and excited as much as I was to hear about it. Hi, I'm Rachel O'Mara. I'm the host of the Pausecast. I'm also the author of Pause, Harnessing the Life-Changing Power of Giving Yourself a Break, as well as a private coach for men and women who are struggling with how to get out of overwhelm and reclaim their lives. The Pausecast is dedicated to helping individuals learn the tools and be more self-aware that we can all be more capable of to live our best life, to reach our potential. Whether this is your first time listening or you're a regular, I invite you to download my free gift to you, which is a blueprint called The 3 Keys to Stay Out of Overwhelm and Thrive. The blueprint is available at my website, www.rachelomara.com. Get it today so you can start to implement these tools that we can all learn. And that's what the Pausecast is all about. Hi, Kate. It's so good to meet you today.
I'm so happy to be here. I'm excited for this conversation.
Me too. So, for those of you who don't know, we have Kate Eckman here in this episode to talk about her book that recently came out, The Full Spirit Workout, and a little bit about Kate to share. Kate is that author and also working at Columbia. You are a certified executive leadership coach. My favorite. She leverages her experience as a well-known communications, performance, and mindfulness expert, accomplished entrepreneur, and elite athlete to equip leaders with the tools, methodology, and energetic boosts that they need to excel. And we all need that these days. Kate's work is rooted in neuroscience, positive psychology, and whole person coaching techniques. Passionate about mindfulness practices for both the brain and the body health, Kate is a meditation teacher and course creator for Insight Timer, one of the best free meditation apps out there. I agree. So, Kate, so good to meet you today. And would you be open to leading us in a Kate-inspired pause, a full spirit workout pause?
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. I'm happy to be here and with your beautiful audience, and a pause practice that I created a week or two into our lockdown, March, April of 2020. I found myself staring out the window a lot because, like everyone, I was thinking, what in the hell is going on? And I was living alone. I'm in New York City, and it was scary. I hate to bring people back, but I started to get more intentional with what I call this sit and stare time. And as I was staring, I got more conscious and intentional and deliberate of how I could use this. And so I started turning it into a practice of checking in with myself, like you would a small child. I'm not a mom, but I'm a proud auntie. And we know how we speak to kids when they're spinning out or when they're having trouble with their emotions. And we say, how are you doing? What do you need right now? How can I support you? What's working? What isn't? What's up? So I started doing that with myself, like I was the small child. And I became more practiced at listening, not to the ego mind that's like, oh my gosh, you should freak out and you're losing your clients because of all of that. Not talking about that. You're going to die. I'm talking about that, the stillness, our higher wisdom, God, spirit, universe, whatever you want to call it. And I invite that wisdom in, and I bring it in from my head where it's intellect into my heart, into my body where it becomes wisdom. And I started asking these questions and then pausing and getting practiced at listening and listening for those answers. And in those answers, I would get the subheader. I was writing this book, I would get the subheader and I would sit and it would just flow. And I know I was being channeled. And so I think when we are present and we do pause, we invite in the miraculous. We invite in possibilities and opportunities and the people who are going to help us. So I invite people to make this a practice. I do it minimum 5 minutes a day. I call it my sit and stare time. And I invite everyone to do it now. And then, even pause this recording and sit and stare and ask yourself these questions and pause and invite in that inner wisdom.
Thank you.
I keep getting the same message lately. And I feel like it's a message I think a lot of people, especially women, hear. And what I get is I am tired, and the inner wisdom, God, spirit, universe is keeps saying, or telling me, inviting me to do less. And that can feel scary and uncomfortable. And you think of all the things that you have to do and want to do. And I'm getting this message loud and clear. And then the message I get behind it is, and I don't mean to scare myself or others, but it's kind of like, if you don't take this pause, if you don't take this rest, if you don't take this time, sometimes then, or we get sick or something happens where we are quite literally forced to stop. So I'm listening and I'm practicing, and it's challenging because the phone's blowing up and you're getting all the things and you want to be available and accommodating to people. And I really strongly, I'm feeling, I feel like I'm with someone who's very intuitive, because when I'm talking to someone who's very intuitive, my intuition, it just explodes. And I'm getting this message for a lot of people. And I know that it's not easy. And you say, well, I don't have time to pause the kids, the job, the money, the spouse, the this, the that, the responsibilities. And for me, I say, I get it, but I don't have time to be irritable. I don't have time to be overwhelmed, exhausted, not care for myself, get sick. So little invitation here for all of us.
Yeah. So that's so interesting, because guess what my message was? My message was, and it's so fun because this weekend I led a client retreat and we worked a lot with our inner child. And when you were sharing about asking yourself like a little child, I'm like, that's what we were working on, because it really is our inner knowing that we're asking, I feel like, and our little girls and our little boys. And so very powerful. So my message is so similar to yours. And there you go. I think you're right. A lot of women are getting this, and men. Mine was rest. So it wasn't pause, but like rest.
Wow.
I think I do need rest. And then it was like, how can I support you? And it was like, don't do so much. Like, take it easy. And that was my word of the day. Every morning I wake up and I have an intention, and it was ease and abundance. And it was like, and I think it was just ease was the first one, and which would be like, take it easy kind of thing. So there you go. We are totally aligned, sister.
Wow. And it's funny because I'm in New York City. I have a house elsewhere, but this is a small space. And even when I log into Zoom, I have a little, this is TMI, I feel like, but I have a little teddy bear here at the home, because a coach of mine suggested, when I go off to give these speaking, do these speaking events, give keynotes, she always says, I love that you brought up inner child. She says, make sure to leave your inner child at home. And so I got a little teddy bear for my inner child, and it's here, and I have to like move it out of the lens of the of my Zoom recording video. That's why I should get a
You
beautiful
can bring them
background
in.
like
That's
yours.
okay.
But
Yeah,
I
no,
think that's a good reminder for people too, is to care for that inner child. But sometimes we need to leave the inner child at home with the teddy bear and bring our higher self to our work engagements.
can I
Just
come
thought someone
along for
might
the
need to
ride
hear
and just
that.
kind of hang out too? Is that all right?
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, well, that's what we also were working on. And one of the skills I've learned in my own training is, to externalize sometimes is a little easier to talk to ourselves. So having a little bear or a little creature, stuffed animal is really fun and enjoy in a playful way to engage in a way that might feel a little weird anyway, talking to your inner child. But if you have a stuffed animal, you can just pretend you're little.
Yeah. And they remind you, like, can't we just take a nap or slow down? And so I think the more that we are open about these conversations too, especially, in
Yeah.
a work or business setting, and a good reminder for everybody.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so great. So thank you for that pause and tell us a little bit about your story. How, like, you are obviously a very accomplished person. I want to hear about all of this tying together to what led you to today. You are at Columbia, you're an athlete, and it just sounds like a melding of worlds too.
Yeah, I was a competitive swimmer for 17 years. It was my life. And after college and the swimming career, I had a very forward facing career as a professional model, working for some of the biggest names in the fashion industry as a TV presenter and personality, or was the face of several global beauty brands. And as a broadcast journalist, was fortunate enough to interview some of the world's most prominent newsmakers like President Barack Obama, Angelina Jolie. And despite achieving many goals and building a successful career, on the inside, I was often in turmoil and filled with anxiety, insecurity, and self doubt. And my life was all about impressing other people and striving for the attainment of some image of success that I had borrowed from society. But who was I on the inside? And who was the real me? And what did that real me really want? For a long time, I had no idea. And it took a pretty massive wake up call for me to change the way that I looked at myself and my life. I lost two loved ones to suicide, and it completely changed the trajectory of my life. And as an athlete, I knew how hard I had to train my physical muscles. And when I was, in a really dark place, even in a pharmacy, contemplating taking a bottle of medication because I was in so much pain, I realized that this lifestyle was unsustainable and that I needed to come up with the keys for a better way of living. So I went back to school. I studied neuroscience and positive psychology and whole person coaching techniques, and really came up with the keys for a better way of living, not just for myself, but for others. Because quite frankly, when I take a look around, I see and feel how much people are struggling. No one is immune to it. It's part of the human experience that we need to embrace a bit more so that we can be aware and then come up with solutions. So I gave people all of these inner exercises, this inner fitness program to really get fit, strong, and resilient on the inside, because sadly, the chaos, the uncertainty, and sickness of the world around us isn't going anywhere. So it really is up to us to develop that inner confidence and really become the people who can achieve our cherished goals. Everyone's talking about goal achievement. We've all got goals, which is awesome. But I think we're spending so much time focused on the goal rather than becoming the person who can actually achieve the goal. Does that make sense?
Yeah, 100%. Totally resonates. Yeah. And then it becomes a distraction almost, and we just forget ourselves. And I really resonate with being that super focused person, because we're all probably, who are listening here in our tribes, we're high achievers, right? We're doing a lot of things, just like we need the rest and need to take it easy. Like, we're getting those messages, but we also can do a lot. So if we aren't really making it intentional, and to me, that's the pause, that's an intentional shift in behavior, then things won't happen. We won't look at ourselves and just say, how am I doing right now? Like, what do I need? How can I support myself? Like you were saying.
Yeah. And I think sometimes the tools, it isn't about, everyone's like, oh, the business plan and the business coach, great. But even as we talk right now, I'm kind of like, wow, I could use some coaching around, and I will sit with myself and hear the wisdom, but coaching around, well, how do I reschedule the meeting? How do I say no? I think we need some guidance in terms of like how to say no, how to set even healthier, firmer boundaries with others, so that we can really take that time.
And that's what the pandemic, I think, is really, really, I would say, forcing all of us to reconsider and to look at, because the old framework doesn't fit the new framework, right? Like, and now it's like, here we are jumping back into the life we think we are leading, or whatever this is, and we are a little out of practice.
Yeah,
Getting into the meetings or whatever it is, I think. Yeah.
And it's exciting to see people and to run around and to get dressed. I mean, in full disclosure, I still have pajama pants on with my nice sweater, but and my slippers. But thank you. But you're right. Like going out and I'm like, oh, my clothes feel a little tighter. Like, oh, my feet are rejecting heels. Better bring some flats. But I think it's easy does it just came forward for me. And I think we need to give ourselves so much more grace and acceptance with where we are. Or I had a friend, a dear friend of mine. She's my longest friend. Our moms were best friends and pregnant at the same time. And she's a stay-at-home mom, hasn't worked outside of the home in 20 years. And I sent her something. Our mothers are in my keynote presentation. I sent her the slide and she's like, oh, what are you doing? And I was telling her this event I was speaking at. She was like, oh my gosh. And she was just like, here you are, you're doing that. And I'm proud of myself for making homemade granola. And I felt the judgment from her towards herself. And I said, we all have our strengths and gifts and are in different places in our journeys. And one is not better than the other. And how great that you're doing something you love, which is making delicious, nutritious food for your family. And we've got to stop judging ourselves and others. And as women, it can sometimes get vicious. I've experienced it from men too. Men jealous of powerful women. I'm sure you've experienced that. So I love your Pausecast, because it's bringing forward all of these themes that we all know intellectually, but that's not good enough anymore. We really have to bring it into our bodies as wisdom and have that be our default setting.
Yeah. And I think so let's talk about your book, because the full spirit workout to me is that, like, it sounds like a workout, right? Like, it isn't intellectual thinking. And even though we're reading the book, it sounds like there's a lot more experiential world that we can explore there. And so the book's been out a little bit now, but can you share a little bit about the high level, how this will help individuals pause or really do more of that? How do I integrate this to know if my boundaries are okay, or what do I need now? I don't even know what I need. I haven't even figured that out myself.
Yeah. And like you said, integration is so important, because you can have all the knowledge or wisdom in the world, but we have to then move it from our bodies, our hearts, down into our hands. And that's why I gave you these practices. And whether you're into the journaling exercises, meditations, I do Coach Kate check-ins at the end of each step, because I know not everyone can afford executive coaching or any coaching. And then the affirmations to ground this wisdom into our bodies. So again, we're changing our default setting. But I do love that one of the exercises, for instance, we switch from anxious brain to curious brain. Whether we realize it or not, we spend, sadly, most of our lives in our anxious brain. How am I going to do this? Oh my gosh, I'm not good enough. All of that comparison, judgment. And so we do the gentle shift over into curious brain. Oh, and a great way to do that and reframe are 2 words. What if? So what if I am good enough? What if I have everything I need to land this job? What if I can call Rachel and ask to do a collaboration and we can host this beautiful retreat to other women who need to pause? What if I am the right person for this man that I love? Like, so getting into that place where it's more curious. And I lay it out and I start this workout program, which no sweating required, and I've made it fun. Fun is in the subtitle, because I don't know about you, but even with physical exercise, if it's not fun and it just feels like another daunting to-do list task, we're not going to do it. These exercises you actually want to do, and I turn to them again and again.
Yeah. And so you talk about emotional, you talk about the mental side, spiritual stamina. And I know you also talk about endorphins and how to leverage those. And I'm really curious about that, because I feel like those are like the rushes we all go for, especially athletes, right? I know I'm a rower. I was I rowed in New York for 5 years. That's why I stayed there at the New York Athletic Club. And for me, it was like my high, right? That was what I knew is like feeling really good. I didn't have any training in anything else really, other than intellectual things, other than rowing and running.
Yeah, I think Yeah, with joy and embracing our endorphins, I did a lot of research on this. And when I asked participants what brings them joy, it was shocking, but not shocking that not one participant talked about a material possession. And I love nice things as much as the next person, but they talked about these simple things like watching their 2-year-old watching the bees doing their job and seeing the awe and wonder in his eyes. And I thought, oh my gosh. And I know that participant, and she's very wealthy and has a very luxurious life, but that's what brings her joy. And so again, we think that once we get the car, the house, the this, the that, the shiny object, we're going to be really happy. We're going to be joyful. And that's true for 15 or 20 minutes, but then it's on to the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. We want more and more and more. So a simple way to embrace our endorphins, to get that runner's high that you experience when you exercise physically, is to think of someone or something that brings you joy. And whatever just came to mind is perfect. For me, it's my parents' mini golden doodle, Teddy. I think animals do that for a lot of us. And then another is a memory I had snowshoeing through Mount Rainier outside of Seattle with my cousin and his wife, gosh, 20 years ago. But that memory stays with me. It's in my heart, and I can call on that and be back in that moment, just that moment of solitude and nature. And so I think too, there's this misconception we need all these degrees and money to experience these things, but animals, you can go visit an animal for free. You can go walk in nature and sit in nature for free. And so I really do invite people to think of those moments that you're savoring. For me, even my morning cup of espresso, instead of being on the computer or TV or phone, I sit and stare and I have my espresso and I do check in with myself. And it brings me so much joy because it is that routine that gets me into my day. But the act of savoring brings us so much joy. And if you savor with another person, so have your espresso with a loved one, intensifies it. Go snowshoeing with a loved one, intensifies it. Or if I just call you up and say, oh my gosh, Rachel, I just had the best experience. And you think I'm going to start telling you about my trip to Lake Como or San Tropez. And I'm like, I was just sitting in my apartment, staring out the window, having my espresso. And it was just a really beautiful moment of solitude with myself that I was savoring.
So good. So what I'm hearing is we can cultivate our own endorphins. We don't need to go out and run a marathon or even a 5-minute thing. It's just about a memory or something that we hold dear to ourselves that can really spark a memory that can really influence the neurochemistry of our bodies, which can help us feel that awe.
Yeah. Yeah. And Rachel Rachel took a pause to sneeze, which I love. And that really meant you just grounded it into your body too. When we sneeze, it grounds that truth into our body. So I love that you just sneezed.
High velocity air. Yes. I did mute myself though. Yeah, that was an endorphin. That was definitely an endorphin rush.
Absolutely. Another way that we can one of my favorite things that I write about in the book is a gratitude visit. This will boost your well-being more than almost anything. And I learned about this practice from Martin Seligman, who's the founder of positive psychology. And he talks about closing your eyes and thinking of someone who has done something enormously important for you, whom you've never properly thanked, that has really shifted or changed your life in a positive way. And write that person a 300-word letter, a testimonial of appreciation and gratitude. Call them up, say you want to come visit, and don't tell them why. You may have to do it on Zoom. And show up and read this person this letter. And what happens that he says, and what I experience, is that you weep, the other person weeps, and you get this tremendous lifetime bond. And your well-being skyrockets, the other person's well-being skyrockets. And when psychologists test people a week, a month, years later, those happiness levels, those endorphin levels are still boosted. And you think, again, what a simple practice, but we don't really do this or take the time to do this until when? At someone's funeral. So if you can think of that person now and write them this letter and do this gratitude visit with them, I hear from so many people, I'm stuck, I'm burned out, I'm exhausted, I'm overwhelmed, fatigue. I get it. So take a pause, write this letter, make an appointment, a date to visit with that person, read them the letter. I'm telling you, I'm going to keep doing this practice. And even my mother's birthday is tomorrow. And she, more than anything, just wants a letter of appreciation. Thank you. I think mothers especially just want to hear from their children, like, you did a great job. You're not perfect, Motherhood's tough, but thank you so much for loving me or supporting me. And maybe it's not your biological mother, maybe it's another caregiver or relative or friend, but please do this exercise.
Oh, that's so beautiful. And what a tremendous gift for the holidays coming up or something like that. And yeah, it's just about whatever is coming up. I think it doesn't have to be some ornate deep letter. It could just be whatever's on your mind, whatever's on your heart, how that served you, even if you grew from it, even if it was maybe not the best experience at the time or something like that. Powerful stuff. I've heard of that exercise. I've never done it other than people I've known, like in a classroom setting or something like that. I remember we did that at Fordham for like a manager class. And it was like, wow, I'm writing a letter to someone. Whoa. And even that felt scary and good and weird at the same time. Yeah. Yeah. So
Absolutely.
yeah, so from this place of the full spirit workout, my sense is a lot of times we don't like we think about spirituality and like and on our own, right? It's kind of this thing that we may consider and it may be religious, it may not. And I think like my sense is it's not a place of common thought for a lot of folks at this point, like a daily integration like we're talking about. So if I were someone and an example was just maybe we're overwhelmed and busy, right? So maybe I don't even know how that fits into my life or like what does that mean for me, because I'm not that spiritual. I know maybe I have some thoughts around bigger meaning than myself, but what would I do, or how could someone start to think about this to be like, well, what does that even mean for me if I don't even know if I'm spiritual, let alone working out in it.
I think just our willingness. One of my favorite spiritual practices is that says our good intentions are not enough. Our willingness is everything. So just be willing. I have many clients, men in the private equity space, who do not consider themselves to be spiritual people. And this isn't religious. This is just, we all have a spirit. This is just connecting with the depth within us and with a higher power. A colleague of mine, Derek, does not believe in God, but he believes in nature. So even the divine wisdom that allows an acorn to become an oak tree, the flowers and the grass just grow and bloom without an agenda or an assignment. It's just, they just do that. And he believes in that power, that is greater than himself, that divine wisdom. So I think tapping into that, but yeah, clients who aren't open, when they choose me as a coach from others, for instance, they'll even say, I love your mind, body, spirit approach. I don't really do that, but I'm open and I'm willing, because I think people at this point are willing for anything that's going to help them perform better, have more confidence, communicate more effectively, have improved relationships with self and others. And so I just say, are you willing? But because I did so many assessments in my training at Columbia, I know we all think differently. So for the L1s, for instance, which are people who are analysts and realists and need data, I put the data in there for people who think like that. People like me who are more into empathy, I put the feeling aspect in it. So it really is something for everybody. That's why I do whole person coaching techniques. It's bringing, everybody is going to relate in some way, and it will just really bring you deeper to yourself and help you find more meaning and fulfillment in your life if you are willing. But it really is something for everybody. These are universal truths and principles and a lot of storytelling. So you will see yourself in my story, because my story is everybody's story. There's different characters and circumstances, but if you are willing, you will find truth and power in these words to apply it to your own life.
Ziva Meditation is our sponsor for this Pausecast episode. My meditation teacher and author, Emily Fletcher, created How Meditation Can Serve You. Her 15-day course, Ziva Online, is something you may want to look into at some point, and what I've also taken. Inside the Ziva Self-Care Center are literally thousands of resources for you, including visualizations, weekly recordings of her calls, global meditations, bodywork, guest experts, and tools for kids and parents. And the best part is it's all free. To get started, head over to tinyurl.com/pause/Ziva Self-Care. That's tinyurl.com/pause, PAUSE-Ziva Self-Care. All one word, Ziva Self-Care.
Willing to try is what I'm hearing, right? That growth mindset, that the beginner's mind, what if and then what if questions that you were saying, right? Well, what if I tried this? Or what if I explored what that meant for me? I have no idea, but I'm willing to give it a try. Because I agree, we got to change it up now. Like we are on our brink of, well, whatever it is, overwhelm, burnouts, that, and like all of the illnesses and the medical issues with burnout and stress. And so this is the opportunity to take in that way. And you provide such a wonderful avenue for it in the way that you're working with others and in your book. So can you take us through maybe one of your favorite exercises or workouts that we can try to apply here to get a taste of what and how you are with the full spirit workout?
Yeah, sure. I think one that I just go, I'm in the moment in these interviews, but what just came to mind is stepping up your spiritual stamina. And that really is the art of surrender. And I share a very vulnerable story in the book about, it's even how I got this book deal and how this book came about. And I have faced so much rejection. I mean, look, you're on camera, you're in New York City. I am a rejection specialist, but I don't take it personally. And that's been a huge shift for me. And so, I know we all want what we want when we want it. And normally we want it right now. And so I share this story and about getting a rejection and hearing from my agent who sounded just as deflated as I felt. And really looking up at God and the angels. I wrote this book for Sam and Roth, my angels who I lost to suicide, and really everyone who struggles with mental health, which, as I've discovered this past year and a half, truly is everybody. And so I had that moment after this rejection and looking up, like, you know what? I don't even have time to write a book right now. You guys want me to do this? You figure it out. I'm done. And I was really feeling defeated because I didn't have who has time to write a book. It is so much work. You put your life on hold. We've all got bills to pay and responsibilities. But I went down to my favorite pizza place in New York, and I was sitting there, and I had just had some choice words for God and the angels. So I was willing to listen. And I heard the words, being okay if it happens and okay if it doesn't is a very powerful place to be. And I thought, yeah. And in that moment, I loosened my grip and I released this whole urge to like write this book and at this exact time and just kind of let it be. And not just paying lip service to that, but energetically just, okay, I get it. And I know it'll happen. I don't care when it happens anymore. I know it will happen. And literally weeks later, 2-3 weeks later, I was on the phone with my agent and my now publisher, New World Library, and talking to Georgia there. And this stuff works if you do. It's like physical exercise. We can't just show up at the gym and expect to be fit. We have to put in the reps. Our personal trainers can't do the sit-ups and push-ups for us. And same with these inner exercises. It works if you do the work. And so we have to be willing. And I walk you through an exercise of the art of surrender and really letting things be. And that it goes into the pause too. And when we become those people, we attract the people. And even there's a moment this morning, I had that moment of, why hasn't this thing happened yet? And it's easy to go to anger or frustration, but I quickly switch out of that and come back into the trust and the faith. I mean, confidence stems from the words to trust. So going back into that place of full-time faith and trust. And I promise you, when you're in that space and get practice at being in that space, you get the phone calls and the emails. I mean, I haven't been invited by celebrities recently to speak at their summits, and I didn't have to try. I've done all this work behind the scenes so that I become the person who gets that kind of phone call or email to come speak at an event like that. So I'm the proof that it happens. I hope that you can subscribe to this sooner rather than later and really just loosen your grip.
Yeah, surrendering and that, what a great example. Wow, that's so cool. What an inspiration too, just to know, wow, like if that's possible, then what could I do? And that's amazing.
Yes, I'm no different. I'm not. So, there's that in the Course in Miracles says all of the children of God are special and none of the children of God are special. And so even when I was a TV presenter, I'm horrible at styling hair. I was selling hair tools and the tools were so effective. I'm like, if I can do this, anybody can. And that's how I feel about these practices. If I can do it and get the results, anybody can.
Yeah. Oh, so good. And on that note, for you, I love the topic of transformation. That's a lot of what we talk about, and a lot of my guests are in there. So what are you, and obviously probably writing a book like yours is also transformative, but what do you do on your own basis? You mentioned, you have some practices. How do you work on your own transformation so that you keep
Yeah.
going?
I do all these exercises. It's funny, one day a friend of mine, she texted me, she was at the hair salon reading my book. She said, "Oh my gosh, your book saved me today. I'm going through this, that." She's like, "I was just reading this exercise." And I said, "Oh, me too." And she laughed. She did the laughing emojis. And I said, "I refer to my book all the time." It's again, I talk about Tom Brady a lot in my speeches because um Tom trains harder than anybody, not because he's the worst, but because he's the best. I think there's this misconception that, oh, I've done the work, my life is good. We need to keep maintaining. You don't get the six
Yeah.
pack abs, which I've never had, and stop exercising. You have to keep, especially then, you got to exercise even more. So I think it's just the consistency, and I think it's having fun with it, and getting a group together, people that if you're having an off moment, being able to, Rachel, I am really spinning out today, and having people to remind you of the truth and who you are. And it's okay to have those very human moments, and take a pause and take a time out. But I think for me, meditation, certainly, and we all talk about that, but my sit and stare practice is a non-negotiable every
Sarah,
day.
that's an
I mean, sleep is a spiritual practice. I have my home set up for optimal rest and sleep. I think that's something else that gets pushed aside, or people are very proud of themselves for not sleeping and hustling and the grind. And I've got to get my rest. But I
feel
think a
like
lot of
that's
these,
Yeah. Well, do you feel like that's changing? And I'm curious because you're in New York, kind of the hubbub of everything. Do you feel like that is shifting? Because I feel like we've been saying that for a while now. And I'm wondering if people are getting that message. Like, it's not all about the hustle. I feel like it is a little bit. But what do you think?
yeah, I think it is shifting. People are talking about it a bit more. But I think the thing that I see, especially with social media, everybody's talking and posting. I think we have to actually believe the things that we are saying, and that it's a part of us. Just like Amanda Gorman, who read that beautiful poem at the inauguration.
Mm.
That woman blew up not because she read a poem, but because she was the poem. When she spoke, we believed her. She embodied it. And that's a perfect example of how we need to be with all these principles. That we're smart people. We understand intellectually. It's not enough. We have to really put it into practice. And keyword there, it is a practice. And some days you're kicking butt, and other days you're like, well, I did, as an athlete, like, well, I was really slow today, or like, oh, I just got my butt kicked by this person. But okay, that's where you are today. It happens to the best of us. So I think it's really, again, becoming the men and women who can actually achieve these goals, rather than just the talk. What do they say? Talk is cheap. I see a lot of talk. I see people posting the quote and then doing the opposite. Just like I have one of my confidence quotes is, confidence is not only knowing we deserve the best, but making choices that reflect that. I think we confuse ourselves in the universe a lot. For example, years ago, I'd be like, oh, I'm ready to get married. I want to find my guy. But I was dating wildly inappropriate partners, because the truth was I wasn't ready. I was still emotionally unavailable. And I think we do that a lot. So that's why these sit and
Mm.
stare times and these practices are important for us to be really, really honest with ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so interesting. Thanks for sharing what your take is. And talk is cheap. And yeah, it's a spiritual practice to do that, to embody that so well. And what a great way to start, I think, with your book, right? Just what would that look like for me, the full spirit workout? So wrapping up here, Kate, where can we find more out about you and learn more about what's happening in your world, or yeah, just stay in touch with you?
You look so great with my book, by the way. It looks beautiful on you. I love it. Yay.
It's
You
very
can go
pretty.
to the fullspiritworkout.com or kateeckman.tv, KATEECKMAN.tv. Everything's there. Would love to find you on social. Join my mailing list. The first chapter of the book is for free on my website. You can download
Awesome.
it. So, and lots of courses, tools, meditations, all of the meditations from the book are on my website for free. I would take advantage of that, and really just start going on this journey of self-discovery, and be excited about what's to come.
Right. Because that's the key, is you just got to start, right? You just got to take that first step. So kateeckman.com. You've got the first chapter for free. So let's all get that and start reading. And any other final words of wisdom you'd like to part with today, Kate?
I think I just want to remind people how powerful that they are, and that you can truly do whatever you decide is important enough and achieve whatever you deem worthy. And the time is now. As I like to say, it's not midnight yet, but it's 11:57, and you've got so many gifts and strengths that you haven't even identified, leveraged, or tapped into, that if you can't do it for yourself, please do it for the world. And let's get going here and have some fun and really uplift ourselves and each other.
Let's get going here. Thank you so much, Kate. What an honor to be with you. Thank you so much for being
Have
with
a
us.
beautiful day. Thank you.
Thanks for listening today to the Pausecast. If you haven't already, please subscribe so that you don't miss a show. And if you haven't already, please rate us, leave your review. We would love to hear from you and help us get the word out. If you know of anyone who you think might benefit from the tools or discussions that you've found helpful, then invite them to join us. Share the Pausecast with those who you think might find this useful to become more self-aware. Remember, sharing is caring. I'll see you next time on the Pausecast.